Hi, I'm Isabel Lagana. I'm the writer of Eloise and I play Kate.
Hi, I'm Acadia Barrengos and I'm the director of Eloise. I'm really curious what the process was like, because your pre-production was so heavy on the writing and the making of a film for the first time. And then we started shooting and you were like actor mode. And I know that it was the first time you were on film as an actor, like doing film acting. And I'm so curious what that experience for you was like, like wearing both hats, but also like switching hats for that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you were a part of it so that I didn't have to switch hats throughout.
Yeah.
And then the first day that I was on camera, I like wasn't using you nearly as much as, like I was still trying to wear both. Like I think I was under the impression that I would do something and then I'd be able to like step out and see if it worked. And there isn't time to do that, nor do I think that's like a helpful, productive experience. So like we did that first scene with the letter. No, it wasn't even reading the letter. I was like in the bed. And I think I said to you like, can I hop out and look at the monitor? And you were like looking at the setup and looking at me and you're like, I can bring you a picture of the monitor. And it was like clear to me immediately. I was like, we can't do this all day. I think the hardest part, like from an acting standpoint, is that it's not in an arc. Like in theater, I get the opportunity beforehand to like come up with the map, and we have the time in the rehearsal room to come up with the map, like the physical one, the emotional one. I know that you're irising people's attention, and I'm full-bodied, but I had to just trust like you to give me sort of the moment before and to kind of know that myself and then be able to do it. And it took me that full day to realize like, oh, I totally need to just surrender to your instruction because what it looks like is actually none of my business. It's just my job to like be in it and own those moments. I mean, the prep process as like the writer didn't feel, it felt connected to the acting work when I arrived there, in that I didn't have to do as much like conscious actor prep because I just knew the story so well. And it's like partly true. It's not like I wasn't credible as the character.
Let's see, how would she be feeling in this?
Yeah, but I don't know, does that fully answer your question?
Yeah.
I feel like the first day of filming, I got home and I was like, I did a really bad job of letting go. And then the second day I had so much fun because it was total surrender. Like the first day I was like, I don't know if I like this medium as much. And then the second day I was like, oh, it actually rocks. Like it's so freeing. I feel like I'm in flight, but I had to really let go of the grip. But I think what you're kind of speaking to is like, I had such a fierce grip on what the whole picture was going to look like up until the point where I'm in front of the camera.
Which is kind of a crazy free fall to ask with oneself. And I think
I just didn't realize it. I thought I was like coaching myself into I was like, you will I was like, I know there is a point at which like you will take the reins and I will just do my one job. But like, I thought I was prepared and then I wasn't. Like in the environment, I didn't know how to naturally do that. Maybe it was because it was just a different environment. It's like people setting up cameras. It feels more like tech to us than like the moment when everything gets quiet on stage and you're like under lights.
It's 100%. Yeah, okay, so we've spoken to it a little bit, but I'm curious now in hindsight, how you would, like the biggest thing that felt different from theater in doing film.
I mean, it's not having the arc in place. Like not being able to work in sequence. I think that was maybe that's not the biggest difference, but that was the most distracting difference to me. Like the most disruptive thing to me in my work. Because I feel like I'm very comfortable with the math of like, oh, and this scenario leaves me here, and then this physical adjustment, like that was the biggest challenge. Oh, and like when you would give me a physical adjustment, my first instinct is like, like I want to know why.
Yeah.
And in film, I really had to just try, like, you were like, I can't remember, I think it was when I was like putting on makeup. I was like putting on makeup and I was like trying to do it very naturally. Like but there was something about the way the camera angle was that you asked me to do something, you asked me to do something with the makeup. I can't remember what it was, but I just remember in that moment being like so frustrated because I was like, I don't know why. But I have to just trust that like it tells the story, and I don't have to have such a fierce grip on why that picture works.
Yeah.
And then watching it in the editing process, I was like, oh, I
learned so much in that process.
Yeah. Really, less is more.
Yeah.
Like I needed to just like let go of why. I think there's more, it feels like I have more autonomy as a theater actor because I know I'm head to toe.
Yeah.
But I just have no idea.
No, it's like actually way more in your control. And I think we work so hard in theater to try to be as present as possible to everything, and film kind of demands it. Like there's no choice but to be present to what's happening, because there's no what happened before, what happened after in the day, and then in the script are two different.
Yeah. Which is like, I ultimately became the biggest point of joy, but at first was like the
totally
fear. I was like, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
Completely. How was settling into it the first day? I mean, I feel like you knew, like, okay, shooting the film feels like tech, like the tech of our theater process.
Yes. Yeah, I had been on a number of sets before, so I was like ready for what it felt like, but had no idea what the internal compass was going to feel like of being there and being the person that people were looking to. And so and I felt this, I think, severely in pre-production of like, how am I supposed to have the answers if I've never done this before? Like, and we had talked about that, I think, a number of times, but that was always a little like, okay, I have to be the person guiding, and also like, I feel like I'm just grasping at straws sometimes in terms of like language and entering a culture of working that is just so beautifully different than what I had been trained in. And then I think similarly, like once the first couple of shots, I think it was like, oh my god, what's happening? Yeah. And leaned so heavily on Sophia. I mean, the whole week, like we would not have a film without. And she and I had kind of talked about like what is the best stream of communication for us, and how would you like this to go, and how would I like this to go. And once that conversation, and we kind of I practiced that routine a few times, and because I think the first thing we shot was Katrina in the bathroom.
Yes.
And Katrina and G in the bathroom.
Yes.
And so, which I'm actually so glad that was our first shot, because that felt like we had practiced here, and like we actually had some like,
you knew what their physical
some foundation for what that looks like, and it felt like the heart of the through line with the three of you that we were setting up with her. So it was a really wonderful place to start for the story, and also just logistically not the most complicated. But the minute they got the camera up on the shower, I was like, oh my god, this is crazy that this is happening. Yeah. And when we got through that, I was like, okay, that's one. That's how this goes. And then from there, it just felt like a snowball. And obviously, I think the end, it felt like a reset every day of like, are we going to get to what we need by the end? And then there became the whole thing of just trusting that what we had was going to be workable and enough. But I think it felt kind of like project to project in the theater within 1 week of film. Like I became an expert on what we had done that day, and then the next day I was a beginner. With, you know what I mean? Because just the energy of each day and the needs of the space and the scenes were so different day to day that it just felt like a whole individual ride. And we were getting like 5 hours of sleep in between. You know, like it was a fever dream in the best way.
I know. We finished and I was like, like I had so much energy because I was just like not used to running on adrenaline like that. Is there something that you were like, man, I wish we got more time on that? Or like, if I had like re-Tetrised the schedule, this would have been the thing I gave more space to.
I don't know. I think the schedule actually really served us.
Yeah.
I do wish that we had been able, with our time in the house, to maybe shoot that stuff more sequentially and just kind of run from like where we pick up with you to the end. But like our first shot was the first shot in the house was the first shot in the film. So like
You mean the house, like with the young with Katrina and Monica scenes, or
no,
you were
our
out
apartment house. Yeah, the one in Brooklyn.
instead of starting with the end?
Yeah. Just in that, like, you were watching all of Katrina and Monica stuff, and we actually shot all of that pretty much in sequence. And then we got to the house, and it was like the beginning of the film, the very end of the film, and which is just the way, you know, that's just my like theater heart is like let's do, you know, let's do this ride, which is not even how Kate's experience works. Like I feel like Kate's experience is more jostled than the way that we.
Right, because it's like recalling what like the therapist is asking her to recall, which isn't in timeline order, it's in order of like feeling and processing.
Yes, and like those memory is such a fascinating thing, and the more that we remember one moment one way, like that's how we are training our brain to remember it. So I feel like the movement that we do actually really emulates that in a lovely way, that like it wouldn't be so clean and pretty, but I'm always like, wait, what if we get right here?
Yeah.
Are you happy with how the film looks?
Very much so. I'm very happy with how the film looks. There are some moments of mine where I'm like, oh, I would have done that so differently. But I've told you, I'm like, less crying, way less crying. It's like you just, well, I won't say you, but I always feel like I need to do more.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just like a feeling of like unworthiness of like being an actor is this like incredible thing. And so I want to, the moments that I get to do it, just like be so, no, less is more, especially in the therapist's office. Like, it's funny, the things that I felt the most confident about were the things that I watched in post and I was like, oh, that did not read the way I thought it was going to read. I think I would have given myself permission, especially in the therapist's office, to like not know what the story was. I think I was so willing to take the ride of the experience, and anyone that's in a counseling session is probably like resistant to what's coming up or like deflected or, you know.
Totally.
So there's that. But like, I think the things I was most concerned about looking good looked fantastic. Like as I was writing it, I was very worried that like the dreamscape sequence, like the imagination space, I had to like quiet that voice that was like, this could look really cheesy if you don't have some like, if it doesn't look magical. And I think that's the heart, like that feels so intangible to someone like me that just doesn't know how film works at all.
Totally.
Or didn't. Now I know things. But it looks beautiful. Like the things that I was most afraid were not going to read look fantastic.
Yeah, I totally get that, and I have a bunch of those moments throughout watching it now too, because I feel like I didn't really learn until we got to post how I should have been directing the shot.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I get it now. I get where the craft of this, like it was such a huge learning experience for me in that way. Once we got to throughout obviously, but once we got to post and I was seeing how the shots lined up to tell the story, I was like, oh my God. And then I got super nerdy and was like watching all of these videos about like, okay, how to do a moving shot through the extra, right? So the extra is like the thing that's walking you to the next, like the camera starts to follow me up, right? And I was like, because it's like how the shot is communicating with the next shot, right? Like even as simple as like, I'm here and I have to look at that thing. So I start to look at that thing and you follow my eyeline and then the next shot is the thing that I'm looking at, right? Like, and I think that's like, and Declan helped us out so much in that regard. And it was there. But I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So there's definitely some moments
Yeah.
there where I'm like, oh, yeah, I just didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
Now I do, and I can't wait for the next one.
That makes me think of choreography rehearsals. I'm like, and there you
Hey, John.